Welcome back, everybody, to Fusion's Ramblings. In this series, we are playing Minecraft, and we're just taking 15 minutes or so and talking about something at random. Who knows what it is? Actually, we kind of know because, we choose the topics, right? So, today's topic is going to be about oceans. Yep, the ocean. Oceans, the ocean, all oceans, any ocean. Why did I pick the ocean? Well, you know, when we look at the Earth, most of it is water. Yeah, sure, we see land all around us, but really, there's more water than there is land, at least on the surface. Underground, there's a lot of water too, but there's also a lot of rock and other things. So the oceans, yes, overall, we could say the surface of the oceans are explored. Because people have been sailing the oceans for hundreds of years, and of course, circumnavigating the world and exploring all over. But under the surface, there's a lot yet to be explored. I mean, obviously, we know overall how deep the ocean is in various places, and that's just, I think, amazing to think about, really, of how deep the ocean is. I mean, for some of us that haven't had the opportunity to travel around and experience different things, we may not really understand how deep the ocean is. So let's do some size comparisons, and you've probably heard these things before, maybe not. But the first thing we can compare is, the tallest mountain. Now, that's a tricky thing because, everybody goes, oh, okay, yeah, tallest mountain, Mount Everest, definitely really high, but how high is it? I mean, unless you go to Everest and climb it or experience it or something like that, you really don't have perspective of how high it is. In fact, most of us, um, the highest perspective we might have is, a building, a tree, or a local hill or mountain if you happen to live in a hilly or mountainous area. But not everybody does. Some people grow up their entire lives without ever really seeing a mountain because they live, out in the plains of, whatever country they're in, and, there's grassland and stuff around them. And so they don't really see how high a hill or a mountain is. And so that's kind of hard to think about. The best way to put it into perspective, if I can say it, is going to be distance instead of height. So I guess the easiest is, either a mile or a kilometer. How far is a mile or a kilometer? Almost, I won't say everyone because there are a few exceptions, but pretty much everybody has had the opportunity to walk a mile or walk a kilometer, either just because that's what you do on a daily basis, or because you were in gym class in school, and so once a week they made you run the mile around the track, or things like that, right? But even if you weren't in a gym class or whatever, you've still had the opportunity to travel a mile, maybe by walking. So a mile is, just over 5,000 feet. A kilometer, about the same when you think about it. Okay, so that's how far a mile is. To put Everest in perspective, you've got to go 6 miles, right? That's going to give you 30,000 feet, which is actually a little bit, I don't know. I think Everest is 32,000 feet. I can't remember. Maybe it's only 27. But, still. Okay, so I can I gotta go that far. That's how high Everest is. Great. So what does that have to do with the depth of the ocean? Well, pretty simple. Because the deepest parts of the ocean are deeper than Everest is high. In fact, there are portions of the oceans that you could almost stack a couple of Everests in. Whether it's the Marianas Trench or some of the deep basins that exist. The ocean is deep. There is a lot there, and that's interesting and scary, I'll say. And I say that because that's a lot of water. And it's very, very dark. There might be some light sources from, various algae and fish and jellyfish and stuff that have bioluminescence, down that deep. But it's just pitch black all the time. And yet there's life. Fish live there. And what's even more amazing is the atmospheric pressure. The water pressure, actually. It's not atmospheric, but, in a sense it is. That's there. And that's another hard thing to understand and put into perspective. So, the best way you can do it is compare how the air around you feels in various situations. So all of us have probably experienced the situation where our ears popped, either because we went up a hill, we flew on a plane, things like that. Well, that's caused by a change in the atmospheric pressure around us. And so, normally down at sea level or, anywhere from 0, the beach, up to 1,000 feet or so, that is what we consider as like one atmosphere. And then if we go up higher, it actually goes down, like 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, and so until it's 0, and then we're in space and there's no atmosphere. But going down into the ocean, or even if you were in a cave and going deep down in a cave, your atmospheres increase to 1.2, 1.3, 2 atmospheres, 3 atmospheres, and so on. And the ocean compounds it because, as all of you know, water is heavy. Right? You have a water bottle, that's some hefty weight, anywhere from half a pound to a pound, depending on the size of the water bottle. And of course, we measure things in gallons, and so now you're looking at 5 pounds, 10 pounds, of water. Just imagine taking that, 5-gallon jug of water and stacking 1,000 of them on top of your head, carrying that around. That is what the depth of the ocean do. So that's where, I think a lot of us really don't understand that because we'll never experience it. But it's like, well, why can't we just swim down and go explore it? Well, that's the reason. Because of this extreme pressures that exist deep down in the ocean, it makes it really hard to do that. You can't just put on a diving suit and go down there. You either have to have a real special diving suit and then be accustomed to that atmosphere, which means that you can't go back up to the surface, because if you do, since your blood it's I guess the best way to put it, you get the bends, but the best way to put it is like if you were to squeeze a sponge, it's really tight, you can compress it down to a small size. Well, that's what the ocean is doing to you, except that you go through, I forget all the technical terms, but, they prep you for a deep dive. Even if you're in a submarine, and you're going really deep, you're prepped and your body gets accustomed to that pressure. So if you just go up to the surface, all of a sudden that pressure doesn't exist And then nitrogen bubbles can exist in your blood, and yeah, it causes bad things to happen. Not just sickness, but you can die from it. Um, and so the ocean is really hard to explore. But there's a lot there. You know, if we talk about practical things, there's huge mineral wealth. There's, of course, you know, all kinds of fish life and mammal life. I say mammals because, you know, whales and stuff, you know, they're not fish, that exist down deep. And so there's probably a lot we do not know about. I know some people theorize about, you know, okay, well, do monsters exist in the deep ocean? Yeah, they do. Some of them are monsters we're familiar with, you know, jellyfish and squid, things like that. But there's other monsters too that exist deep down in the ocean, and we've probably never seen them, and we may never see them, just because, you know, it's next to impossible to see everything that deep down. And that's what makes the ocean, you know, interesting, you know, to think about, is everything that could be there, and also scary at the same time. Um, some people are afraid to go out in the ocean for all kinds of different reasons. Maybe it's because, you know, what's underneath. I used to kind of have that fear if I go out swimming and stuff. I like swimming, but it would be like, okay, well, what's down there? You know, what's below my feet? Is something gonna come up and get me? You know, we watch too many movies, Jaws. But you know, really, you know, that's true, is we don't know what is down there. Obviously, there's water down there, and at some point, you're going to reach the bottom and find mud or sand or rock or whatever. In most cases, it's going to be mud, just because of silt and, you know, just like dust in the atmosphere. It collects in water too and settles to the bottom along with everything that dies in the water. So, you know, who knows what's down there, waiting for you in the depths, lurking in the darkness to drag you below and drown you. Oh, scary. But I like the oceans. You know, I mean, I guess I have. There's. I like all kinds of things about nature. I like oceans. I like space. I like mountains. I like deserts. I like forests. Jungles are cool, but I'm not too hot on them, just because, you know, climate-wise, I'm a cold weather person. My body doesn't like humid. Heat is fine, but the humidity of desert, or I mean of jungle or whatever, you know, where you feel all sticky and stuff, and some people grow up with it, so they're used to it and they don't even think about it. But the rest of us that grow up in cold or dry climates, it's just miserable. It really is, and it's something that you never really get used to. So anyways, back on topic, or hey, this is rambling, we can talk about whatever we want. Oceans, I think there's a lot that can happen in the future with oceans. We definitely need to explore them more. I'm sure at some point people will be living down under the oceans, as technology and capabilities expand, because why not? It's a great place to live when you think about it. You know, from a safety perspective, yeah, you got to get over the water pressure and all of that type of danger, but there's a lot of advantages to being, you know, underwater. Earthquakes not necessarily going to affect you if you're just floating in the water somewhere deep down. Landslides not going to affect you again if you're just floating somewhere deep down in the water. You know, I mean, there's different dangers, but when we talk about some of the disasters that happen to people on land, a lot of those don't exist underwater. And then space. I mean, there's plenty of space on land. Don't get me wrong, we're not going to run out of space anytime soon. The Earth, from a space perspective, we could have probably a population into the trillions and be fine, you know. and still everybody would have plenty of space. But us humans, of course, we like to crowd up into cities, so who knows? Anyways, so from a perspective of rambling on and oceans, I love the oceans. I would love to go sailing, experience the ocean, um, you name it. And hopefully you do too. And it's something that, we should definitely explore more, um, and understand better and see what's down there, because there's a lot there, and a lot that we could find out that would be new and interesting and different, and a lot of opportunity. Anyways, I think we're just about out of time, so thank you for joining me today on Fusion's Ramblings. I don't know if that has any effect, me, shaking the view around and calling out ramblings, right? Because I'm rambling. Anyways, thanks for joining me today. Appreciate it, and we shall see you in the next video.